Every 4 years, citizens vote for leaders at all levels, including state-based representatives, governors, and national legislators. We also vote for a president, and depending on who you listen to, they are pretty big deals and all powerful. But having dispensed with military heads of state, we don't elect a dictator or a monarch. Presidents operate within the law and are guided by set precepts that they must follow. This is why everyone is encouraged to ask important questions like, what do they do? What is their jurisdiction? And what are the limits of their powers? I am Afolabi Adekaiyaoja, a researcher and writer on politics, policies, and processes. And I'm here to talk to you about the checks and balances that define the presidency in a democracy. Let's explore the president's constitutional powers in a nutshell. The president has quick policy influence through executive orders. The president holds the veto power, which shapes legislation and plays a pivotal role in lawmaking. The president also shapes government by appointing key officials. Now, these include members of cabinet, like the ministers that we know, heads of agencies, and even Supreme Court justices. Most of these officials are appointed with the consent of the Senate. The president also leads the military, guiding defense strategies, and appoints the defense chiefs and the people who lead and carry out these actions. The president is also the architect of our foreign policy, so they determine how we relate to other countries, other states. These powers position the president as the central decision maker in any democracy, crafting policies, leading the military, and shaping global relations. Now, let's grasp a fundamental principle, the separation of powers. Our government is divided into 3 branches. The executive arm, headed by the president, implements laws. The legislative, including the representatives and the Senate, makes laws. The judiciary, including the Supreme Court, interprets the laws. So why do we separate these powers? Well, the independence ensures a system to prevent the abuse of power. This means that the executive doesn't make laws, the legislature doesn't enforce them, and the judiciary doesn't create the laws. It is why the legislature approves certain key appointments by the president, such as cabinet and Supreme Court justices, and why both the executive and the legislature are bound by the judiciary's interpretations and rulings. This separation is not a bureaucratic formality. It is the solid foundation that prevents the concentration of power and conserving the core tenets of our democracy. In Nigeria, the president possesses the authority to veto legislation. This power allows the president to withhold approval, preventing a bill from becoming law. It's a crucial aspect of the executive's involvement in the legislative process, ensuring that proposed laws align with the president's vision and the constitutional considerations. But, as in any robust democracy, there is also a mechanism for checks and balances. The Constitution allows that the National Assembly, comprising of the Senate and House of Reps, can override a presidential veto. For this to happen, both chambers must muster a 2/3 majority vote. Now, this isn't very easy. For example, it's never happened before in Nigeria, and it requires a constitutional and considerable consensus between lawmakers to ensure that they all believe that this veto needs to be overdone. The override process emphasizes the importance of broader parliamentary support in shaping the legislative agenda. Now, let's dissect the power of executive orders, which are essential but not without limitation. Executive orders are directives from the president. However, their scope is not unlimited. The Constitution and legal precedents set boundaries, ensuring executive orders cannot overstep constitutional authority. Executive orders might face legal challenges if they exceed constitutional bounds or infringe on individual rights. Courts such as the Supreme Court or the Court of Appeal serve as a check with the authority to declare executive orders unconstitutional. The power of executive orders walks a tightrope between decisive action and constitutional respect. Instances of legal scrutiny ensure that this presidential tool is wielded within prescribed limits and not abused. Finally, if a president goes beyond the remit of their power and abuses their responsibility, there is also a constitutional instrument to remove them. It is called impeachment. When this happens, the national legislature sits and removes the president from office if they are convicted of abusing their oath and their responsibilities. When this is done, the president is removed from office and replaced by the vice president. In Nigeria, citizens delegate the lawmaking powers to elected legislators who are in the Senate and the House of Representatives. But this does not mean that there is no space for engagement. If we, the citizens, wish to influence legislative decisions or voice our concerns, there are alternative avenues. These include contacting your representatives. We can directly communicate with them by engaging and making sure that we send letters, emails, or even visit their constituency offices. We can also carry out petitions. Organizing or signing petitions can bring attention to specific issues. Petitions, when presented to lawmakers, can influence discussions and prompt actions on particular matters. We can also engage with and through civil society organizations. Joining or supporting civil society organizations that work on specific issues can amplify individual voices. These organizations often engage with lawmakers and advocate for policy changes. We can also take part in public forums. Now, these include attending town hall meetings, public hearings, or community forums that provide us with the opportunities to express concerns directly to elected officials. These forums are occasions where citizens can engage with lawmakers and discuss various issues. There's also media engagement. So utilizing media platforms, including social media, can raise awareness and garner public support for specific causes and can indirectly or directly influence legislative decisions. Lawmakers often take public sentiment into account because they need to do so to get re-elected. As citizens, staying informed, engaging in discussions, and participating in the democratic process is very important. Let's be vigilant, advocate for accountability, transparency, and the principles that uphold our democracy. Remember, informed and active citizens are the bedrock of a resilient and thriving nation. Stay engaged, stay informed, and let's shape the future of our great nation together.